Hi, my name is Rakesh Singh and welcome you on this jQuery video session. Thank you so much for joining Naresh IT Technologies video session. In today's video session, we are going to discuss one of the most important aspect of the jQuery, how to work with radio elements using jQuery functionality. So let's start to do the working with the radio element using jQuery. Means if we have some element like radio elements. In HTML we write input type equals to radio and name equals to something, ID equals to something, as well as what is that, value equals to something. So if we have some elements called radio elements, either one radio elements, either more than one radio elements. So how to work on that radio elements in order to select that and perform some action. Either we can select one single radio elements and perform some action, or you can select more than one radio elements belong to a group, means group of radio elements. One point is very important to us to understand. In any HTML document, single radio button generally there is no use, because radio elements are used for selecting a one option from a group of radio options. So whenever we have HTML document with the set of radio elements and we need to work on that radio element to select and perform any particular operation, then how to work with the jQuery, that we are going to discuss. So let us discuss about select all radio elements. Means if in our HTML documents whatever radio elements are present, does not matter belong to which group, means in the entire HTML document, then how will we select? So very simple, we have to use jQuery selector. Dollar of every radio elements are going to define using input tag with the attribute type equals to what, radio. Then how will we select? Dollar of input and attribute selector, what is it, type equals to radio. It selects all elements matched by input type of radio. This can be also written by using dollar of input colon radio. Direct attribute value we can use after the colon, which also select all elements matched by input with a radio attribute value. And also can be written, right, dollar of colon radio. Direct you can write dollar of colon radio, which selects all elements which are type of radio. So this selector I am going to use practically to show you on HTML document whether it is getting selected or not, and on that any operation to be performed. So in this video session I am going to perform simple operation to know how many radio elements are present in HTML document in order to count it and display into the JavaScript alert box as soon as document gets ready. So we'll implement in develop environment using Visual Studio development tool, in which already one website project is there and in which one HTML document is present. The name is what, HTML page.html. So here I have my HTML document with some heading and I have set up radio elements. You can observe that input type equals to radio, ID equals to RDB1, value VC hash, and what is it, Visual C#. One radio option Visual Basic, one radio button Visual F hash. So I have these three radio buttons, right? This is going to ask the user to select any language, and I have some more radio options available for what, selecting database. So three radio buttons available here and three more radio buttons available here. Total 6 elements are there in our HTML document, and I have not defined till now any grouping of radio option. How to define grouping of radio option, we will discuss about that. Means all these radio elements are by default grouped into single group into the HTML document. So I want, as soon as document gets ready, right, so already jQuery script file is referenced, another script section is available in this makes document to be ready, and as soon as document gets ready, then try to display into JavaScript alert box how many radio elements are present in this HTML document. So what will do that, dollar of, let us write document dot ready function of, right, function body to be open, and this is going to close. As soon as document ready, count how many radio elements are there. So I am taking one variable where, right, RDB elements or RDB count I am taking variable, right. In this variable I want to store total number of radio elements are present in HTML document. So first of all, try to write jQuery selector to select all the radio elements. So dollar of, you will write what is it, input colon, right, radio you can write, or input the type equals to what is it, radio you can write, or colon radio you can write. So input attribute what is it, type equals to what is it, radio, and this is going to close. So this jQuery selector what does, it is going to select all input element, type of what is it, radio, and we would like to count how many elements are selected. So just use a property called length property, right, semicolon. So this selector is going to select all input element type of radio and counting how many elements are present, storing into one jQuery variable object RDB count, and then just display into JavaScript alert box alert of number of radio elements, right, here plus what is it, RDB count, that's it. So now save this page and run this page in a browser. As soon as document gets ready, then it is going to load the document, HTML document in browser window, and as soon as document gets ready, at the time only is going to present number of elements, how many, 6 elements. So you can observe that I have select language, one radio option, second radio option, third radio option, and I have select database, another one, second one, and third one. It means in the entire HTML document at present what example we are implementing, 6 radio elements are present. So how easily we are able to filter out from the HTML documents how many radio elements are present. This selector expression can be also used in another way, input colon radio, directly we can write input colon radio, right, without type attribute, input colon radio dot length. Come to the browser and just refresh the page, you can see that number of radio elements how many, 6. Even though we can also find out by using what, directly colon radio, most easiest option, right. Save it, come to the browser, refresh the HTML page, you can find out number of radio elements are 6. By this way we are able to know how many radio elements are present in our HTML document. I am not performing any other kind of action. We will see in coming video session some more examples with the radio elements where we will perform some action. In this example just my action is what, count the number of radio elements after selecting all the radio elements in HTML document. Select a group of radio elements. Now we are going to work with what, not selecting all radio elements in HTML document, only select those radio elements which are belong to a specific group. So how to use, dollar of input colon radio, name equals to specified group name, because grouping of the HTML element can be defined by using the name attribute. So you are saying that select input element must be type of a radio, that must uses an attribute what, name with the what, specified group name. It means it selects all elements matched by input type of radio that uses name attribute value equal to specified group name. So we can say it selects a group of radio elements. So how to work with this? So what we'll do that, we'll come to again development Visual Studio environment. Now observe here I have select language, there are 3 radio options are there. It is not defined, right, any grouping, and select database I have 3 radio options with the all label text, also not defined grouping because nowhere use what, name attribute. So you can see over here if I say select language, so either I like Visual C#, either I like to work with the Visual Basic or Visual F#. Suppose I select Visual C#. So in the language I want only one language which I like to work on that. Among 3 you can select anywhere. Radio option means what? Select any one option among the group of radio option. But remember at present it is not grouped. By default all 6 are grouped into entire HTML document. So whenever user say I want to select database, I like to work with the SQL server, I like to work with the Oracle, MySQL, anyone. Suppose I say SQL server. So SQL Server to be selected. But what happening here, you observe, whenever I select SQL Server, this option will be what is it? Deselected. So we have three languages. Among this, anyone to be selected. You observe there, I select Visual C#, selected. If user say Visual Basic, so what should be happen? Only Visual Basic to be selected. This must be what? Deselected, because among these three option, only one to be selected. So when I am selecting Visual Basic, this also getting selected. When I say Visual F#, this also getting selected. Same thing happened in database also. Among three database, anyone to be selected. I say SQL Server, fine. But whenever I say Oracle, only Oracle to be selected, this must be deselected, because radio option means what? From the group of radio option, only one to be selected. But here what happening? Oracle also selected, MySQL also to be selected, because the reason is this is not defined into one group. By default, these all individual radio option is available into one group. So this is one group, second group, third group, fourth group, fifth group, sixth group. I want these all three radio elements should be into one group only. These all three should be what? Another group. In this group, only one to be selected. And for this group, only one database to be selected. This is possible by using what? Name attribute to apply with all these HTML element. So what we'll do here, so just specifying here name equals to, I am going to use what? Language, and same name attribute to second radio option, third radio option. And in database case here, I want to use name equals to, at value is what? Database. Means what is my group name of radio elements? Database. Here I am going to use name equals database. Name is equal to what? Database. So I have made one group with what name? Language. And in the language group, total how many elements? One input type radio, one input type radio, one input type radio. Three radio elements into one group, language. So in this group, user can select any one option. And I have another group database with the three radio elements. It means in database group, how many can select? Only one. So if we come to the browser, refresh the page, right? We are counting number of radio elements 6 in the entire HTML document, not into the specific to one group, right? Now select Visual C#, I like, yes. I have decided not Visual C#, I would like to work with our Visual Basic language. Select Visual Basic, this is selected, and this is what? Deselected. Means among these three languages, any one language option can be chosen by the user after specifying the group. In database, I want to work with SQL Server, select an SQL Server, yes, selected. No, I don't want to work with SQL Server, work with what? MySQL, select what is it? MySQL, it is selected. Now what my requirement is? My requirement is nothing but select a group of radio elements and count how many radio elements are available into that specific one group. So what will do that? You will come to development and here write RDB count, right, or I say language count. Means I want to count in language group how many radio options are there. So RDB language count dollar of what is it? Input colon radio, right, of name equals to what is that? Attribute value. Which name? Language name. Language. Because I have given 6 radio button, 3 radio button into one group language and remaining 3 radio button into one group what? Database. I would like to find out all the radio elements which belong to what group? Language group. So how you write selector? Dollar of input colon radio, and that must have the name attribute with what value? Exactly language, and count the number of elements by using what? Length property. Number of radio elements in a language group, in a language group, for your understanding, RDV language count, right? So RDV language count is a variable in which I am storing the number of radio elements with what group name? Language. And then using JavaScript alert function, I am going to display at the runtime into alert box number of radio elements in a language group, that is what? RDV language count. So save it. Now come to the browser and refresh the HTML page. You will get what is that? Number of radio elements in a language group. How many? 3. So earlier we found all the radio elements in HTML document. we got 6. Now we have written the jQuery selector to find out a group of radio elements, not all the radio elements in the HTML document. Now we are going to the select all checked radio elements in what? HTML document. All checked radio elements. So what I do that? I just come to development, right? Here anyone is by default checked? No one by default checked. Here anyone by default checked? No one by default checked. I just want to take one button down, one button. And if I click on the button, I want to know how many radio elements are checked till now in HTML document. Point to be noted, user cannot check all 3 language radio option because we have given in group. So in a group, among the 3 language radio option, any one to be selected. But in this group also user can select what is it? Any one. So it means one can select here, one can select here. So what I am going to do that, small changes here below. I am going to provide line break, one more line break, and going to use input type equals to button, right? And value is nothing but what is it? Submit. And here I am going to close. It is a button and value I am giving submit. Once I click on this button, then count all checked radio elements, which is done by the user. And this button should have an attribute ID btn1, right? So what we will write the code here? As soon as document ready, you need to register click event to the what? Button. So $of hash btn1 dot what is it? Click of function body to be open and close. So means whenever the button is going to click, this is going to be fire, and in this going to count number of checked radio elements in the entire HTML document, not to any specific group. So here what I am going to do that, where rdb what is it? rdb checked count variable equals to $of input colon what is it? Radio. Means selects all input radio, right? Or you can write input in a square bracket attribute type equals to what is it? Radio, right? Colon what is it? Checked. So here what is meaning of that? Selecting all input element type of radio which are checked. So in the entire HTML document, first look at all input element type of radio, and in that which one is checked, that is going to select and count a number of item. So by using what? Length. Now we'll write alert, right? Number of checked radio elements plus rdb checked count. Save it, right? Now just come to the what is it? Browser, refresh the page. So we have got one button submit. If you click now, there is no selection, means there is no checked, no checked. So how many? 0 elements. So click on submit. Number of checked radio elements are how many? 0. But if user has selected one language, visual f hash, and one database, what is it? MySQL. In this group, user cannot select what? More than 1, right? Because I have given the grouping. So here I am able to select 1, here I am able to select what? 1. Total how many selected in the entire HTML document? 2. So click on submit. Number of checked radio elements are what is it? 2. So this is the way we are finding how many radio elements are checked till now in the entire HTML document, not to the specific one group. So you may require to do like this, but do not select all checked radio elements in the entire HTML document. For a particular group only, means in group which radio element is selected, means which radio element is checked, only that one try to get it, and that count how many are there. Of course in a one group only one radio button will be selected. So which one selected, I can get it that. I want to count how many are there by using length property. So for that purpose, what we can write, selects a group of checked radio elements. So for that what write? $of input colon radio name equals to group name colon checked. So only is going to select that radio element which belong to a group, and in that which one is checked. Of course, in radio element group, there is no possibility of checking more than one radio element. So it is going to count only how many? 1. So what I do that here, I just come to development, I write what is it, I just remove this. Assume in this language group 3 radio elements are there. By default, suppose Visual C# is going to select from the my HTML code only. What property attribute? Checked equals to checked. So I have given checked equals to checked to whom? First radio element. So among this group, this is going to select. If you give again checked equals to checked to what? Suppose third option. So you may think that 2 radio elements selected. No. Whichever the last one is specified, that is going to selected, and previous all is going to what is it? Deselect. So I am giving the first one. Now as a document ready, I want to count it. How many checked radio element available into one group? Of course, only one is there. But we'll see the practically at runtime it is going to show the result or not. So simply come to here. No button click. As soon as document gets ready. So I'm going to write what? Directly I'm writing alert. Direct writing alert. Number of checked radio element, right, in a language group. Right, plus dollar of input colon radio, in which group? Name attribute, group name language, right, colon what is it? Checked dot what is that? Length. So selecting input element, type of radio with what? Group name language, and in that whichever checked, counting how many? By using what? Length, and displaying using JavaScript alert box. Now save it, come to the browser, press HTML page in browser window. So you can observe that number of checked radio element in a language group, what is it? Only 1. And if you click on OK, you can see that by default whenever this page gets ready in the browser window, in a language already one language selected, the what name? Visual C#. User may select some other language, but whenever select other language, this is going to be what is it? Deselected, this one. And if you put one button here, click on submit, and on button click you want to find out how many are checked, then also will come what is only 1, because among these 3 there is no possibility of what? More than 1 to be selected. So by using this selector, you are finding only that radio element which belong to language group, and that must be what? Checked. And I am not performing any operation on that radio element. I am just counting the radio element how many by using what? Length property. Next one is what? Select a group of not checked radio elements. Means in the group I want to select those radio elements which are not checked already, and I want to just count it how many are there and display into JavaScript alert box. So for that purpose, number of not checked radio element in a what? Language group. So what I write? Dollar of input colon radio name equals to language not colon checked. This must be removed. Here what required? Dot not of colon what is it? Checked dot length. So what I have written again, I repeat, alert box, alert function to make alert box to appear, number of not checked radio element in a language group, concatenate my jQuery select dollar of input, select all input element, type of radio with what group name? Language, in that which are not checked by using colon checked. So it's going to select only that radio element which are not checked already, and counting how many by using what property? Length property. By default in language group I have given one radio element is what? Checked. Remaining 2s are not checked, and it cannot be checked also, because rule of the radio elements is nothing but in a group of radio elements only one can be checked. So how many are not checked? 2 are not checked. So save it, come to this page, refresh, right. Number of not checked radio element in a language group, how many? 2. not in the entire HTML document, in only language group. So if you want to reach to those radio elements which are not checked, then for that this selector to be used. And I am not performing any specific operation, I am just counting how many those elements are there. But we may require to perform some operation on that. For that also we will discuss many other example in coming video sessions. Right. So here what I am going to do now next, checks whether any one radio element is checked in a group of radio elements or not. So we may get another requirement while working with the radio elements. In a group of radio elements, anyone is checked or not checked. If anyone checked, it means returns true. If no one is checked, returns what? False, boolean value. So by this way, tomorrow if you are working with some registration form where we have gender, male and female, among the two anyone must be selected, and you forget to select. So while submitting the form, you can validate by checking in this two radio option belong to one group, nothing but gender group, anyone is checked or not checked. If no one is checked, returns what is it? False. Then you can put an error message. So what I am going to do that, dollar of input colon radio, name equals to a specific group name, dot is method, is of colon checked. This method always checks whether it is matched or not matched with this selector expression, colon checked. If it is matched, returns boolean value true. If not matched, returns what is it? False. So how we'll do that? Very simple. Come into this place. What I am going to do that, I remove this code, right, and I remove the what is it, this select database portion. I just remove, not required. Language, and I remove this or by default checked option also, means not checked by default. I just want to keep one button. What? Input type equals to what is it? Button, and ID equals to button 1, and nothing but what is it? Value equals to submit. Okay, and close. What my requirement is, if user click on the button, right, means this submit button, right, click on that. Before happening something, let's check that in this language group of radio elements, any one language selected by the user or not. If no one selected, display message, right, not selected anyone, or you please select anyone. If selected, then nothing to be happen, or display message anyone is selected. So what I am going to do that, in document.ready, I write dollar of hash btn1, the red button element ID btn1 dot registering the what event click of function body open close semicolon. Here we will write just condition if dollar of what is it, input colon radio group name language, right, after that what, dot is of colon checked, which returns boolean value true or false. Suppose if it is checked in the group of radio elements belong to language anyone, returns what? True. Then equals to what is it? True. If true, then display message in alert, right, yes, one language is checked or selected, just a message. And else part, right, alert, no language selected, or any other message, whichever message you wanted to display, that you can display. Don't depends on the same message what I am showing to you. Got the point? So how to identify whether in a one group of radio elements anyone is checked or not checked? Very simple. Dollar of input colon radio name equals to language group name dot is of colon checked. This always checked, anyone is checked or not checked. If at least one also checked, returns what is it? True. Otherwise returns what? False. So save now. Come to the browser, refresh our HTML document. Fine. Select language. 3 languages are available. Anyone is selected? No one is selected. I click on submit. You can observe that what message you are able to find out. No language selected at client side using the jQuery functionality. Now click on the OK. Suppose select language Visual C Sharp. Visual C Sharp among these 3 selected. Yes. Now click on submit. You observe I am not going to display which radio element selected, what is their text, what is their value. I am just going to know whether selected or not selected. Submit. Yes, one language is selected. You may require, sir, how to write the code to know which language selected, what is their text, what is their value. That also will discuss in coming video session. But in this, just my focus is to know how to this language among the group selected or not. My focus is nothing but working with the radio element with all jQuery functionality for selecting the element, traversing to the element, whether this is available or not, counting number of elements and displaying into the alert box. Click on the OK. Fine. So this is the way how we are working with this. Now the last portion, what is it? Apply checked property to true to a particular radio element by their ID. We know that in a group of radio elements all cannot be checked, any one can be checked. So I would like to check the property to be true apply to a specific any one radio element at runtime by using our code, or to make any one radio element to be unchecked at runtime by using our jQuery code. So what you do that, dollar of hash RDB1 means any one radio element is selected. On that, applying the what property by using what method? Prop, which property? Checked with what value? True. It means this particular radio element is going to be what? Checked. And same thing if you want to be unchecked, so you will have here apply checked property to false to a particular radio element by their ID. So dollar of hash RDB1 or any other radio button ID dot prop of checked comma what is it? False. So what my requirement is, I just come down to development, I remove this all code, right, and I'll make as like earlier, I'm going to make group of those all language radio button elements and what is it? Database also. So observe here. So select language, these all radio elements, select database, these all radio elements. I want by default as soon as documents gets ready, right, from this group of radio elements, first radio element which has ID what? RDB1 to be checked, and from this group I have chosen first radio element RDB4 to be what? Checked. So simply come to the document ready, you write dollar of hash RDB1. Remember, checked property to true cannot be applied to the all radio elements into one group, because the nature of radio elements in a group to have only one to be checked. So I am applying to the dollar of hash RDB1 means what? Only one. Dot method prop of what is it? Checked comma true means this is going to be checked. And I have decided in my database group also first radio element by default to be checked as soon as document gets ready in the browser window. So just I am writing dollar of what is it? Hash RDB what is it? 4 dot what is it? Prop of checked comma what is it? True, right. So these two lines of code is going to make apply the checked property true to RDB1 and here what is it? RDB4. Now if I run this page in a browser, as soon as the page load into browser window, and observe that from the language group among the 3 radio option, first one is selected, and select database in the by default what? SQL Server is selected. So if you want to apply checked property to true or nothing but false to any specific redo element at runtime when the page gets loaded, then you will be writing the code something like this. What? $of hash RDB1 means any one element dot method what prop, and what is the property checked, and what is their value true, it is going to apply. If you want to make it false, suppose already anyone is checked, what I do that, I just remove this code, right? Here using HTML code I am giving what checked equals to what is that true, or checked equals to checked, here checked apply. In database MySQL I am giving what checked equals to checked, and there is no jQuery code is present, right? Now just come down, refresh the page. So by default using HTML code, here C# is selected and here MySQL selected. I want as soon as this page is loaded in a browser window using jQuery code, right, this must be what deselected, nothing but must be remove the selection, remove the checked options. So here simply come write this one, RDB1 checked comma what is it false, right, and not RDB4, here which one is checked, nothing but RDB6 one is checked by default by using HTML code. So I just remove what RDB6 dot prop of checked comma what is it false. Save it, come to here, as soon as page refreshed, so HTML document is going to load, and after the my jQuery code is going to fire. So using jQuery code the default selection is going to be also removed. So refresh that, you can see earlier this was selected and this was selected, this also has been deselected by using just writing the code what checked comma what is it false. So this is all about this video session in which we have discussed how to work with the redo elements using jQuery. Thanks for watching. Keep watching Naresh IT Technologies video session. Don't forget to subscribe more for more videos. Thank you very much.